I can't do it.
Okay.
We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. It. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks.
Well, that didn't go as planned last night. Jesus Lord. Who saw that one coming? Welcome in. It's the Daily Puck Drop, your daily sports podcast here on a Thursday. We welcome you in, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on the Puck Sports mobile app or listening later on all the podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, your favorite podcast platform. Again, you can find everything, as always, up at pucksports.com. And it doesn't matter. You'll watch the live edition, or if you watch it later, does not matter. It is all good over here for the Daily Puck Drop and Puck Sports. Every day we broadcast from the world-renowned Limbach Lumber Studios. We could not do this daily without the support of Limbach Lumber. Big thanks to Paul and the crew down there. Any lumber needs you have, you can go to other places, bigger spots, chains that are all around the area, but buy local. If we've done anything here at Puck Sports and the Daily Puck Drop is to buy local, and there is no better spot to handle all of your lumber needs than the fine folks there at Limbach Lumber. They've been doing it since 1930, all right? They know what they're doing. Give them a call, 206-782-3487. They're gonna walk you through the process. You have any questions, concerns, they're going to handle it with ease. They've got experts running around all over the place. You can also visit their website at limbachlumber.com. You can visit me on all the social media platforms, Puck Sports, everywhere except for TikTok, which is Puck_sports. And as I mentioned before, you can jump over there at pucksports.com. There you'll find all of our videos daily, plus all of our audio links. And that's where you can sign up to become a member of the Pucks Posse, which gives you bonus shows throughout the week, in addition to support of all the live programming that we do daily. We've got a special ALCS Game 4 preview coming out later today. Probably be released around, I want to say 1 o'clock. How fast I can turn it around. But a special ALCS Game 4 preview with the boys from the Sports Pit, Matt Stretch Johnson and Steve Sandmeyer, joining me later today. So that will be out around 1 o'clock to get you ready for tonight's Game 4, which I don't know if it's a must-win, but it sure feels pivotal that they could get this game tonight, because all of a sudden now you don't get it. Now you're just hoping to take 1 out of 3. Then if you lose tonight, you know without a doubt the series is going back to Toronto. No one wants to go back there and play, even though they've been good on the road for sure. Well, but that's a crazy environment, and you've given them hope. And that's the one thing we talked about yesterday about Game 3, about stepping on their throats, is not to give the Blue Jays any hope. And I felt very confident going into Game 3 yesterday. I did. The way that Kirby was pitching, the way that Bieber had not performed, and we'll get to Shane Bieber here in just a quick second. I felt very confident how they were going to come out and really jump on them early. And then they did that. They were following exactly the script that I thought was going to happen yesterday. But then, the third inning happens. And it just, like that snap of a finger, it's all gone. And you gave them hope. I don't think all losses are equal. People say that doesn't matter if you lose by 10 or if you lose by 1. It's still a loss at the end of the day. I don't subscribe to that. I think losses are different. And I think when you get your teeth kicked in like that's something. That gave Toronto a lot of confidence yesterday, what they were able to do to George Kirby. They talked about being more aggressive early on in the postgame, about their game plan going in, that, listen, they want to try to get us to swing early and get out. We need to be patient, but we need to also be aggressive and know that those first few pitches are going to be right over the plate. And then they were, and they took advantage of it. They didn't do it in the first 2 innings, but they certainly did it there in the third inning, and they dominated that series, or they dominated that game yesterday. Now we go to I think a very pivotal Game 4, a very pivotal Game 4. To me, it feels like whoever wins tonight will win the series. But again, I'm an Irrationals fan, so that's just me. We're going to get back to baseball as we always do here on this Thursday. We start off Thursday's show talking a lot of football, and we do it with our number one guy, our NFL guru, our insider, and it's Mike Garafolo from the NFL Network, who I know is just stopping on by here in just a quick second. We're going to cover a lot of things. Seahawks game over Jacksonville, the Seahawks preview against the Houston Texans, and other storylines that are going on in the NFL. That Texans game is going to be a little bit more of a game than I think that people realize. But let's get to Garafolo, who joins us every Thursday to talk NFL storylines. His weekly appearance brought to you by Hartley and Hartley Insurance, your trusted family-owned insurance experts in the Puget Sound area since 1978. For honesty, fairness, integrity, contact Jamie Hartley, 253-565-8700. Also, Zogs on Fox Island, perfect spot to grab a cold beer, hang out with friends, and catch the game. Check out Zogs on Facebook and Instagram for their hours and event times. So we'll talk NFL, then we'll get back into baseball. A reminder, KJ-Arent with Mitch coming up a little bit later in the program. Mikey G, how are you, sir?
What's up? How's everybody feeling out there? Confident? A little shaken? What?
I can't speak for everyone. I just know that the Debbie Downer fan in me is very, very nervous. Very nervous about tonight. Very, very nervous. And I know if they lose, it's still 2-2, and you got another game 5 at home and all that. But I start to envision the worst that can happen to my baseball team.
Well, there's a big difference. Is it 2-3-2 or 2-3-1-1-1?
2-3-2.
So you'd have game 5. I mean, that would be, yeah. I mean, there's a big difference between closing it out or a chance to close it out, and you breathe new life into them. And if they win that game, they got 2 at home. Yeah, it's. I get it. I get it.
I don't like it. Just wrap it up. Just wrap it up at home. Let's move on. Get ready for the Doyers. That's all I want.
Yeah, because you're coming out of there.
Toronto.
You're up 2-0 coming out of Toronto. You're feeling great. You're thinking the series is pretty much over, and now you're kind of sort of not back to square one, but you're right there. I get the mentality.
Well, it's interesting, and let me bring this to football. I was just saying this before you came on. See, I don't think, and maybe you agree or disagree with this, that losses aren't created equal. So you'll hear people say it doesn't matter if you lose a football game, you lose by 4 touchdowns, or you lose by the last second field goal. A loss is a loss. I always think, no, I think losses are different. I think when you get hammered is different than losing a close game. Now, that's just how I view things. In the football world, how do you view that?
I think there's certainly style points. The difference in baseball is like you got a pitcher on the mound, and then he's not coming back for another 3 games, or in the regular season 4 games. So that's the only one difference. Whereas you're lining up pretty much the same people in football. So baseball's weird. Like I seem to. And I've never tracked this. I've never, but the teams that will put up 20, 17, 18, 19, 20 runs in a game, the next day seem to score 3 or less. Like, that's just kind of the way that it happens. So when you put a bunch of runs up, you go, okay, that's going to carry over to the next day. Not necessarily. My buddy was joking. He's like, I watch baseball games with my dad, and, team Phillies are up 10-0. He's like, save some runs for tomorrow. I'm like, I sort of understand what he's saying, even though
everybody
it's not really
says that. Everybody, that's in my back pocket every game.
Yes.
Just save some for the next game, please. Well, I mean, but think about this. Let's say, let me revisit the worst moment in Seattle sports for a second. And people, you can turn it off right now, hit pause, don't listen to this. Let's say Seattle in the New England game gets blown out by 3 touchdowns. Is that worse than how they lost to New England? Or the same?
No, but you're talking in terms of losses, period. I'm talking in terms of you lost, you need to play again the next day. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, that's different in baseball for sure.
Yeah.
Baseball is easy because you flip it around.
That's a whole different conversation. I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that. I mean, Joe Carter, speaking of Toronto, ripping the heart out of the Phillies in game 6 when they were up and just close out the 9th inning. Like, that is one that will always. I just don't want to see him. I don't want to see that replay. I don't want anything to do with it.
Touch them all, Joe.
Whereas they lost to the Yankees in 2009, which was also really angry in the moment. Mm-hmm. But the Yankees were the better team, and CC pitched 3 games in that series or whatever it was. Yeah. It's like you knew you lost that versus the way you're talking about it. Yeah, I'd say it's probably tougher, the close loss.
Yeah, it's difficult. Let's revisit last week. I think myself included. Despite what Jacksonville had put together, in the previous 2 weeks with good wins over the Niners and the Chiefs, I still look at Jacksonville like, oh, it's still Jacksonville. All right. And then you watch them play, and, Trevor Lawrence is still hasn't reached probably the potential that I think many people think he would have reached by now.
Yeah.
I think it's a good win, but what type of win was that last week for Seattle on the road against Jacksonville? Should I give it more credit than probably I am?
No, I think the best part of that was it was kind of like that Pete Carroll win. That Pete Carroll go to the East Coast, and wait a second, which team traveled 3 time zones? Because it doesn't look like the Jaguars are the team that was home and waiting for the Seahawks. The Seahawks dictated things. So I think that was enormous. I subscribe to your theory of the Jaguars were not a 4-1 caliber team, in my opinion. They were sort of flying a little bit above where they should have been flowing. They were due to kind of come down a little bit. And they've got another tough one this week. To me, and I think I mentioned this to you, the 3 games that they had, 3 in a row at home, well, 2 at home and then 1 in London, this is the last of them. They win this game, they went 2-1 in that stretch. They lose this game, they go 1-2 in that stretch. Mm-hmm. And I go, you see, this was the litmus test, so I'm still not putting them up at that upper echelon. So I still think it was a good win. You're coming off that win if you're Jacksonville on Monday night against Kansas City. You're riding that momentum in that regard. But the Seahawks, and I've said this to you, and we talked preseason about this. They really felt in Seattle like this was going to be Mike Macdonald's team, and he was going to put his stamp on it. They were going to start playing with more of an identity, mirroring what he wants in a football team. This is looking like it to me, really is. Which is not to say that low-scoring defensive type game. They had the game against Tampa Bay, which was a phenomenal game, and I think looking back at the end of the season, we're going to say that was one of the best games of the season. They're also so they won 4 out of 5, right? So if they win that game, if not for that turnover late in the game, they win it. We're talking 5 straight wins for Seattle. Maybe a team that's not getting enough respect nationally, sort of the opposite of Jacksonville, not getting enough respect nationally, in my opinion.
It is weird, though, you say that style of play. I think defensively, we certainly agree. If you flip it on the other side of the ball, they aren't playing what he wants to play.
Yeah, right.
Which is obviously a conundrum that they have probably within that building is that they're not running the ball like they want to.
Yeah.
It's led by their offense by passing the ball with Sam Darnold.
Right. Which is, how many weeks are we removed from an alleged quarterback controversy with Sam Darnold and Mike Macdonald sort of swatting that away? And now we haven't had that conversation in quite some time, particularly because the Milrow package resulted in a key. Yeah, I know.
No more Milrow package.
You're over it already?
Oh, God, yes. I don't want to see it anymore. Just don't want to see. You know what? I want it. Okay, you could throw it in there, but can we not run the speed option to the left?
Well, who was it? Who was it the other night that? The Buffalo ran that. His was an option play. Buffalo was the speed sweep where you snap it and hand it on a 3rd and 1, and yeah. So I think a lot of times this stuff succeeds and we never talk about it, and it's kind of like, oh, what a great call, and then it doesn't. We're like, what are you doing in that spot? Right. So and the Milrow one that you were talking about seemed to have been, I don't remember the exact scenario, but I was like, oh man, in that spot to be calling that. But anyway, yeah, Sam Darnold has, and Minnesota's got to be watching this going like, oh man, like, come on.
I was just gonna ask you, like, how much do they have like remorse about their decision they made?
The rest of the league is not impressed with JJ McCarthy at all. Like some of the stuff that I'm hearing, they're like, a lot of, well, what is Minnesota going to do here? Like they're sort of in it too deep now, right? Where they committed to the kid, and now you're turning things over to Carson Wentz, which credit to him for winning that game. I did not think they were going to wind up winning that game against Cleveland. So that really flipped everything on its head coming out of London, because that could have been really ugly for them coming out of London. So, yeah, I mean, kudos to Sam Darnold. Like Sam Darnold and Baker. I hope they meet again in the playoffs. That'd be a lot of fun. Sam and Baker.
That was a great game. It was a great game, and it was just, it had everything. We talked about it last week, the uniforms and just the play of both those teams. The game that I'm looking forward to tonight, I love the fact that they have deemed this the Icy Hot Bowl tonight. Steelers and Bengals. That is such a great name. 2 40-year-old quarterbacks, Joe Flacco and Aaron Rodgers, limping on out there. Who do you like in tonight's game?
There was a bowl game. I think it was a bowl game in the last couple of years, and I remember I called it the Depends. Oh my God, we're getting old bowl. It was Chad Pennington's son
Ooh.
and Josh McCown's son. They were going at it.
Yeah.
They were head to head. This is the opposite of that. This is the I can't believe these guys are still out there game tonight. So yeah, the icy hot bowl. I think Cincinnati played okay against Green Bay. There were flashes, and I think they're going to play better. I do. I think it's going to be a hotly contested, tight game tonight. Pittsburgh either puts an absolute hammerlock on the AFC North, or Cincinnati announces that because Cincinnati's got the Jets after this, so potentially win tonight, win next week, 4-4, back in the playoff conversation with Joe Burrow returning. From my understanding, everything's on schedule. Joe Burrow returning for the last couple of weeks of the season. This is a, but it's got to happen tonight. They also have two more. It's the Jets and I think the Bears after a bye week at home. So they've got 3 straight home games. If it's going to happen for Cincy, it's got to happen now.
And I just love the drama leading up to this game. I love Tomlin getting upset the Browns for trading Flacco to Cincinnati. Just all like you don't get coaches do it. You don't get coaches calling out other organizations.
No,
other organizations front office.
No, and you don't like. It was almost like you broke an unwritten rule.
Yeah.
By trading a guy within the division. Now we got to deal with them. Type thing. I mean, there's been trades within the division. Donovan McNabb got dealt from the Eagles to Washington. There's another quarterback one that I'm not remembering off the top of my head, but to do it in season type of thing when you guys are out of it, so you don't care, and now you're going to dump this on the rest of of their, but like that's kind of where I felt like that remark came from. And obviously the way Jake Browning was playing, they would have preferred to play Jake Browning, but of
course,
yeah, I think the biggest thing with Joe Flacco is that's a guy, like, no matter what happens, he's going to put the ball up top on the outside to these guys. Somebody needed to do it, and Joe seems willing to do it.
Of the teams, I've looked at 3 teams, Steelers being one of them at 4-2, or excuse me, 4-1. Patriots are 4-2, Colts 5-1. Of those 3, what's the most surprising start of those 3? Or maybe you say, no, there's you missed something, Buck. There's somebody else that you missed. But what about those 3?
It's Indianapolis for sure. And look, they played 4 of the first 6 at home. They have not played a slate of playoff teams. They beat Denver, but it was on a, if that call at the end of the game doesn't go that way, they lose to Denver. So they're still the one that I'm looking a little side eye at, which, to be fair, I said the same thing about Jacksonville.
Sure.
I actually think that Houston could come back up here. And I know that's who you were just talking about coming in here. Does it happen as soon as this week? I don't know, but they're coming off a bye. They're still a good team. They're still one that's going to play you hard. I look at Houston like sort of starting to find their way a little bit. If honestly they came back in and Indy and Jacksonville just kind of settled back to, and it was a 3-team race down the stretch, that would not surprise me at all.
I was looking at some of the stats for Houston, and I was probably like, dismiss. That's Houston. You start digging into some of the numbers on Houston, and you get past what their record is right now. What they're 2-3. They've lost their first 3 games. They've won their last 2. But even in those 3 losses, they were only giving up 17 points a game. Their last 2 games, which they won, they only gave up 10 points combined. I mean, they got the number 1 scoring defense in the league at 12 points, the number 4 total yards defense, number 5 against the pass, number 7 against the run. Yeah. 3rd best completion percentage against, under 60%. I mean, Jesus, this is a damn good defense.
Yeah.
That the Seahawks are going to see on Monday night.
And I know that they had high expectations for Nick Kelly. I thought he was going to be a really good fit with CJ Stroud on the offensive side of the ball. Seemed like they took some time to get their footing, and they feel like, given the bye week, to kind of reset and go over some things that they like and don't like, that this is going to really start to flourish on the offensive side of the ball as well. So that's going to be a big thing for them. Obviously, they got to protect CJ Stroud. Without the protection, he's just not going to be able to maneuver and manage things the way he needs to. So Houston's, like, of all the teams that are on the the other side of 500, Baltimore being another one. Obviously, Baltimore's schedule coming out of the bye is super light. Like they could rattle off 5 wins in a row. So I'm looking at them, but I think Houston's another team that could rise up here second half of the season.
This is going to be one of those like ugly Monday night games, though, right? It's going to be like 16-13 or 16-10 or something like that.
Yeah,
like
I
that
could
feeling.
see I can see that. Yeah, not a shootout type deal. Yeah, defensive battle. I could absolutely see that, and maybe it's more of that identity of running the ball that Mike McDonald, excuse me, wants out there in Seattle. So, yeah, I 16-13 is a good number. Let's see if it lands right on that.
No, you better win. People are growing restless out here. I think people like them, but good God,
who? What?
People are growing restless of the team not winning at home. They like to see the team win some games at home rather than just let's win every game on the road.
Well, can
no
you
one's
still hear
falling
me?
for his head. I'm not saying that.
Can you still hear me?
Yep.
Oh, it said network connection was lost. Okay. That is one of the things that he did. I interviewed him back at the combine. I was like, what do we need to, what are we looking for year 2? What do you need to accomplish? And I remember him saying winning at home, like running the ball was part of it. So he hasn't done that yet, but winning at home was another big thing that he wanted to accomplish. So I actually forgot about that storyline until you just mentioned it now. So yeah, this is gonna be a big one to on a Monday night national stage at home, win that game. I'm even trying to remember the week 1 game against San Francisco. I don't even remember. Like, I just blanked this game. What happened down the stretch there?
They were driving. It was a close game. They were driving for the game-winning score, and Nick Bosa just pushed Abe Lucas right into the chest of Sam Darnold, and he fumbled the ball.
Okay, that's right. Now I remember that play. Yeah.
But again, that was a game, and that's the kind of game I'm thinking it's going to be. It was,
17-13, right?
17-13. Yeah, that's the type of game I think you're going to see on Monday night.
Got to make and listen. You had that, then you had the turnover against Tampa Bay. It's coming down to these are the things that when you're home and you're in a great environment.
Yep.
The other team should be making these critical mistakes. So I get it. Okay.
I had so much the Brian Branch decision. The league suspends him a game, rightfully so, for what happened after the end of the Chiefs and Lions game. I don't even know if this is a question. It's just I have so much respect for Dan Campbell. He comes out in the post game and immediately is like, "This is not how we play football. This is not how we act after a game. This is not what we do." A part of the Lions organization. Now, again, maybe you're going to tell me every coach is going to say that afterwards. And you're probably right. I'm just saying that it was like the first thing he said. Like, we're not going to tolerate that type of behavior after a game. And it's just, to me, another example of what makes Dan Campbell such a great coach.
Well, it's a tough thing to pull off, too, because you're calling out your own guy.
Yeah.
And you need to have that credibility inside the locker room, not only with the player you're talking about, but also your leadership. Because look around. I mean, look at the Jets right now. The Breece Hall pretty much asking for a trade. Garrett Wilson saying, I don't agree with what happened at the end of the first half the other day when he was barking at Aaron Glenn. You got a lot of other guys grumbling or saying some stuff. In Philly, it's starting to crack a little bit, although I think that's more directed toward the quarterback than the coaching staff. So it's a tough thing to pull off. And listen, honestly, when you do pull it off, it is good for your credibility. And now everybody around the locker room is going to be holding that guy accountable as well. So I agree with you. Yeah, it's not a question. This is what this should be. This is how it should be. And kudos to Dan Campbell for saying it.
There is. So when you start looking at the NFC, and I know we're early in the season, you start looking at the playoff race, who's going to get in. My God, like everyone still has a shot.
Yeah.
I mean, who you would eliminate the Saints, probably. Like Saints, no chance for the Saints.
Yeah.
But
Giants, I don't think get there.
Giants, and probably the Cardinals. Would you say the Cardinals? Nah.
Probably. Yeah. Okay. I'm a little disappointed in the Cardinals. I thought
so 3 teams, but at Dallas sitting at 2-3-1.
Dallas is not out of it. I was just saying this to somebody earlier. That. Dallas is not out of it.
13 teams who all can make a case for one of those spots. It's crazy.
Yeah. And I talked about Minnesota, them winning that game, coming back to win that. They would have been seriously on the outside looking in at 2-3. Yeah. They're also now playing an Eagles team that is the body language right now is horrible. I was in that locker room after that game against the Giants. The body language, the tone, everything. I don't know how you just sort of suddenly get that back. But I just go back to them winning. Like they went to Indianapolis and won a tough, hard-fought game after they had fired Frank Reich and Sirianni wanted to send a message. And this sort of feels like that kind of game where it's going to be ugly and it's almost going to be the opposite of early in the season where they were winning games and we were like, well, they didn't do it. With style points, this is going to catch up to them. Now it's literally just any possible way to get a win. And then you play the Giants at home in a rematch there. You would think you'd be able to handle that game. Now all of a sudden 2 games, now you're back to 6-2, and you're feeling a lot better about things. So Eagles certainly at a pivotal point right now, along with the Vikings.
A couple of more things. The Chiefs, everybody wanted to write them off the first 2 weeks of the season after losing to the Chargers and the Eagles. Now they've won 3 of 4, and everyone's like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe they're not dead. Wait, they got Rice coming back. Oh,
yeah.
Maybe they're the best team in the NFL now. We're so quick to write. We want to like build a team up and then just tear them down as fast as we possibly can.
Yeah.
But here they are 3-3, and they're in the mix of it, just like everybody in the AFC.
Yeah, and they feel like having to lean on some other receivers early in the season, that's going to help them, because now Rashee Rice comes back. He's the number one. And Hollywood Brown, you're seeing him make plays at the end of games. He had a toe tapper the 1 week. They had another catch in the sideline the week before. He's done a really nice job, as having to be sort of a 1, and now all of a sudden he's your 2, your 3, and you got these guys. Tyquan Thornton has emerged as well.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're feeling like this could be the offense that they thought they were going to be before the season. More explosive, putting more points up, more of a vertical threat. I think it would not surprise me if Rashee Rice comes back and all of a sudden you see a lot more of that from Kansas City. I know they feel good about that right now.
Last thing for you. I know he came out and apologized for what he said after the game, but I am curious. I didn't have a problem with what Tua said post-game. I mean, you're asking him to be a leader, and he called out his teammates who he thinks aren't showing up and doing the job.
Yeah, I was surprised it was as much of an apology as more of a clarification, and more of a like, hey, listen, I know I'm calling it. I'm talking about myself as well. That's kind of the way that I would have done it, or would have expected that he would have done it. It was for him to come out and apologize. Yeah, I think I'm okay with a guy holding people accountable, especially when there's questions about the head coach and his role in the whole thing. So I think it's going to be an ugly stretch run for Miami. I think we're talking about a high draft pick and a potential changeover at both the head coach and general manager position. They're 1-5 right now. What happens with the quarterback as well now, because now you're talking about a potential new GM and head coach. And a lot of people, like, if Tua's not your flavor, he's not your flavor. So I think this time next year, when we're talking about the Dolphins, there could be a lot of significant changes in that team.
Now, I know you're one that likes to rock a pair of joggers, but what do we think of joggers on a head coach?
It's okay if you're winning and you're scoring points at 70 a clip, right? Not so much. Now it's being called out. Were you the one that I saw somebody post? Was it you? Must have been you were the one that posted.
No, but I saw the picture at the podium where they had the picture of him wearing the joggers, pulled way up, and they're like, your head coach can't look like this, or something like that.
Well, listen, all this stuff, that's the way the NFL works. Like all this swag and stuff, like the Jackson Dart, Cam Scatterbo pictures could come back to haunt them, right? Like it's just kind of the way it works. It's like all of a sudden everything has a different context if you lose 6 in a row, right?
Now I'm going to do like an inside joke here, but you being a Philly guy, you will appreciate this, because I have a couple of Philly buddies, and I texted him after they won. After the Giants won, and I said, how jealous are people in Philly of Scatterbo and Dart? Because that's their people.
Who?
Scatterbo and Dart.
Scatterbo is. Dart's not.
Yeah.
Dart, you think Dart would be like a Philly type guy? I don't see that match.
Oh, yes.
I don't see that match.
They would love him.
I mean, listen, any good quarterback, they would, not any good quarterback, but
they are those two are like the perfect, like, New York. Because I think, who was I talking about this before? My buddy Danny Kelly, who does stuff at the Ringer, and he was like, because like Scatterbo is like the blue collar Long Island guy, and then Dart's
but he's also,
Dart's Manhattan like runway model,
right? But Scatterbo could be like the blue collar Philly guy. He could fit Pittsburgh,
anywhere,
Cleveland. Like I could put him a number of places where it's like, he'd be like, if you just saw his style of play and you're like, where would he play in the NFL? I don't think New York would come up in the top 10. You'd put him in a bunch of other places before you got there.
Yeah, they're fun to watch. I'll tell you that. Fun to watch.
Finally, like that's all I'm asking. I'm like, I don't root for teams. I don't.
Yeah, they're just fun to watch.
Make them fun. Make them interesting to cover. They're finally there. Stay there. I don't care. They can win 6 games and still be fun and interesting.
What's on the docket for Thursday Night Football?
Yeah, we're going to have NFL Game Day kickoff. I don't think I'm a part of that this week. Actually, I got the week off there, but NFL Insiders, or the Insiders on the NFL channel at 3 o'clock your time this afternoon. We tape it a short while before that.
Okay. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Enjoy the week. We'll see you next Thursday.
You got it, pal.
There he is, Mike Garafolo, NFL Network, giving you the inside scoop on all things NFL. Brought to you by Hartley and Hartley Insurance, your trusted family-owned insurance experts in the Puget Sound area since 1978. Honesty, fairness, integrity. Contact Jamie Hartley. He's still playing golf. It's October 16th. 253-565-8700. Also, Zogs on Fox Island. Perfect spot. Grab a cold beer. They got heaters out there. You can look at the water. Watch the Mariners tonight. Good vibes there at Zogs on Fox Island. Andrew Herzog's going to make it a priority to make it good times there at Zogs. All right? Don't ask him about the Ducks. Whatever you do, don't be like, hey, Herzog, what happened to the Ducks against Indiana? If you do that, you pay double there at Zogs on Fox Island. Mike Garafolo with us every single week. Of course, if you miss any of that, that will be part of the podcast coming up once the show is over, up on YouTube and all podcast platforms. All right, we will transition now. Every single week, it is our pleasure to welcome in the one and only Mitch Levy from the Mitch Unfiltered podcast fame. We call our episode KJ-Arent. And every single week, Mitch joins us during the live show. You get the full show during the live daily puck drop. But once the daily puck drop is over, the only time or the only place to watch or listen to the full KJ-Arent episode is if you're a Puck's Posse member, and you can simply just sign up by going to pucksports.com. $5 a month is all it costs you. Or you can become a patron at MitchUnfiltered.com. Every Thursday, we catch up with Mitch. Before we do so, let's get word from some of our sponsors, Georgetown Brewery, John Howie Steak, and Flat Stick Pub.
Drink Georgetown Tavern Beer, your new locally brewed domestic-style lager. 4.2% alcohol. Cheap, good, local.
Excellence in dining? Visit John Howie Steak and experience premier Northwest dining. Prime custom aged steaks, award-winning wine, unmatched level of service. You won't be disappointed. Make your next reservation today at johnhowiesteak.com. If it's fun you desire, it's fun you're going to get at Flat Stick Pub. It doesn't matter what the occasion is, whether it's date night, guys night, ladies night, or large group event, Flat Stick Pub's got you covered. They have 6 great locations across the Pacific Northwest, from Pioneer Square to Kirkland, South Lake Union, Spokane, Bellingham, and Redmond. All locations offer the best pub experience in Washington. 2 rules at Flat Stick Pub: drink local and have fun. Pretty simple. So if you like to have fun, love local beer, and great tasting food, make Flat Stick Pub your next spot. Visit them at flatstickpub.com.
2010.
Unfiltered, MitchUnfiltered.com, or become a Puck's Posse member there at pucksports.com. All right, Mitchie. See you later.
Drink Georgetown Tavern Beer, your new locally brewed domestic-style lager. 4.2% alcohol. Cheap, good, local.
Again, that's another edition of KJ-Arent with Mitch Levy, host of the Mitch Unfiltered podcast. Again, our weekly show airs in its entirety during the daily puck drop, but once the live show is over, you must sign up to become a Puck's Posse member to listen to the full show. You can do that by going to pucksports.com. I promise next week we're going to get into the whole dad's weekend at the University of Arizona that he was there last weekend. Before we go here, we got to get a Game 4 preview. As we get in Thursdays, we get right into football there with Mike Garafolo, and I want to go back to Game 4 tonight between the Mariners and Blue Jays. Also, a reminder, I mentioned this in the beginning of the show, we're going to be doing a Game 4 ALCS preview with the Sports Pit boys, Steve Sandmeyer, Matt Stretch Johnson. Going to record that here coming up shortly. That will be released hopefully around 1 o'clock, maybe sooner, depending how quickly I can turn that around. But, you know, I think looking ahead here to Game 4 tonight, and with Max Scherzer on the mound, again, not good this year, Max Scherzer. I guess the biggest question mark is going to be, can Max Scherzer turn the clock back? Can he turn the clock back to yesteryear of Scherzer? His ERA in the last month of the season, he hasn't pitched since September 24th. It was around 10. Now, in his career in the playoffs, an ERA of 3.78. And I guess the question remaining tonight, does the 41-year-old have some vintage start left in him? And for Luis Castillo, can Castillo match him? All right, and can Castillo just continue to be Luis Castillo, be the rock that he has been there in the postseason? So far in his career, well, not his career, but this year at home, he's been very, very good. An ERA of 2.60. Remember game 2 against Detroit, allowed 0 runs in 4 2/3 innings, pitched that inning and a third of relief there in game 5, allowed 0 hits, struck out 1. His career ERA, not good like Kirby's ERA, but not as bad. Career ERA of 4.68. Faced him twice this year, by the way, did Castillo, and allowed 8 earned runs, 17 hits, and 10 innings. So, again, a little bit of that's, unfortunate there for Luis Castillo, but it is what it is. And you had to see Castillo and Kirby had to pitch in this series against Toronto. So I think that's what you're watching for tonight. How aggressive is Toronto going to be early in the counts against Luis Castillo? Can Luis Castillo, who loves to strike out guys, can he induce some ground balls? Can he induce some fly balls, early outs? That's what George Kirby was successful in the first couple of innings in game 3 last night. But then, once he got into, the third inning, and then it fell apart for him. And so, again, how active, how aggressive will Toronto's bats be tonight in game 4? And then how can Luis Castillo navigate around that? And, how long does Dan Wilson give him? I think it's a fair criticism looking back to game 3 last night I think it's fair to criticize Dan Wilson last night. I think you can make an argument, and I understand the thought process of not wanting to burn through your pitchers because of where the series was at and what's left in the remaining games of the series. You can make an argument you pulled him after the third inning after he gave up five runs. But the decision then comes, well, who do you go with? Now I've got to figure out how do I manage 6 innings? I mean, that's a lot. You got Bizzardo and Hancock and Vargas each threw 2 innings in game 2. They had an off day, but who knows how they responded? Who knows where they were at health-wise? But I do think, so the argument there is, and his 4th inning, by the way, when he comes out for the 4th, you're like, he almost escaped it because the 4th inning looked great. He faces Clement again, who started the whole trouble earlier on, and he gets to a full count after Clement got ahead 2-0 on that one. He used a lot of slider sinker. He gets an out there. Jimenez, he challenges him right away differently, starts him off with the slider. He follows with a knuckle curve, I think was the first time that you saw in that game last night. But then he gets to George Springer and he elevates a sinker that wasn't supposed to be elevated, and he hits a home run to center field and he smashed it. It was 112 miles per hour off the bat. And so that 4th inning was going great for him until that home run there to Springer. Now, where he really should be criticized there for Dan Wilson is allowing him to go back out there for the 5th inning. It was inexcusable. There was no reason for him to go back out there for the 5th, especially when Guerrero's leading off the inning. And why he did that, I really don't know, other than, and we don't know because we're not in there. I don't know what Bizzardo's status is. I don't know. I mean, Vargas ended up pitching. I don't know where Vargas was at. Certainly don't know where Hancock was at, because those are the guys that he's going to have to lean on in multiple innings like that. But that 3rd inning was a disaster for him. And they had 13 balls hit by Toronto last night that were 100 miles per hour or more off the bat. 11 of them were hits. Now, these were all off Kirby, but it was just they jumped on him early and hit him hard. And hats off, tip your cap to Shane Bieber. I wasn't expecting much from Shane Bieber just because of how his season had gone, the recovery from Tommy John, and really pitched all that effectively. Wasn't a good against the Yankees. It started off bad for him against Seattle, allowing that 2-run home run to Julio. But then he went right into, after that 1st inning, into old school ace mode. And the key certainly was that 2nd inning. He struck out the side, bottom of the order on 12 pitches, and he used everything: slider, knuckle curve, cutter, fastball, all of it. He's a 5-pitch guy. And he used, I think, every pitch in that second inning, and he settled down and was, I mean, the offense gets all the headlines, but to me, what set the tone, honestly, was Shane Bieber, the bottom of the second inning. How he responded that very next inning, to me, kind of changed the mindset there of Toronto. And I think when the hitters saw him come out there in that second inning, that's when they exploded there in the third and certainly changed the game. But we'll wait and see what Castillo can do tonight and what version of Max Scherzer you're going to get. I'm very intrigued by this. The old school Bulldog pitcher, massive success in the postseason, plenty of games pitched in the playoffs. What will he look like tonight? Not all is lost. If you win tonight, now you're 3-1. You're back in super command of the series. But I do believe that, I think to me, and again, maybe I'm just a prisoner of the moment, I think who does win this game tonight probably goes on to win the series. All right, let's wrap up the show with Hey, What the Puck. We do this every single episode of the Daily Puck Drop. It's all brought to you by Restoration One of North Seattle, your restoration company that lets you avoid the stress of water, fire, and mold damage with their property restoration services. Locally owned and operated. Make them your first call when damages affect your residential or commercial property. 206-817-8917. You can visit them online at restoration1.com, the North Seattle franchise. Going to give full credit to our good friend Tim Booth of the Seattle Times. Maybe somebody else said it earlier. I don't know. He was the first person that I saw mention this during last night's game, and I certainly agree with him, and I want to use it here as we close out the show. There should be a lineup change tonight for the Mariners and Dan Wilson. He has been shocked throughout the playoffs. He has had the same lineup pretty sure every single game except the Scooble one. But he needs to change it tonight against Max Scherzer. And I agree with what Tim Booth said. It's time for Polanco to be the DH, put in Louis Rivas at second base, and sit Dom Canzone. Now, before you hate Dom Canzone, you always have. This is not because I dislike Dom Canzone. He's just not performing in the playoffs, and he needs a breather. He needs a step back, and he needs to sit on the bench. He's hitting .067 right now in the playoffs. His slash line is .067, 125, slugging .067, and he's got an OPS of 192. Before the playoffs, he was great. The last month of the season, he was phenomenal. His slash line was out of this world. He's just not performing in the playoffs. He needs to sit. Rivas gives you a good glove at second base. He's a switch hitter. He can be a sneaky, good little base runner and good little hitter. You don't lose Polanco. Obviously, you got Robles in right field. It's the change they need to make tonight. I'm very interested. Maybe I don't think the lineup is out yet. If it is, and I've said this, and then I'm an idiot. But whatever you're watching or listening to this, the lineup is out. That's the move that Dan Wilson should make. If he does make it, full credit goes to Tim Booth of the Seattle Times. That's Hey, What the Puck, brought to you by Restoration One of North Seattle. Again, your restoration company lets you avoid the stress of water, fire, mold damage with their property restoration services. Locally owned and operated. Make your first call when those damages affect your residential or commercial property. 206-817-8917. Visit them at restoration1.com, the North Seattle franchise. Thanks for everyone watching and listening today. Thank you to all our sponsors, Limbeck Lumber, Zogs on Fox Island, Hartley and Hartley Insurance, John Howie Steak, Georgetown Brewery. Check out their new tavern beer, by the way. Also, Restoration One. You can find today's Daily Puck Drop up on YouTube. Please subscribe to the channel. Also, find the Daily Puck Drop on your favorite podcast platforms and, of course, up at pucksports.com. When you're there, sign up to become a member of the Pucks Posse. It's going to cost you just $5 a month. You support all the free content we do here at the Daily Puck Drop and Puck Sports. Plus, we give you bonus shows every single week. Like coming out later today around 1 o'clock. We'll give you the latest sports pit with myself, Steve Sandmeyer, Matt Stretch Johnson. We preview Game 4 of the ALCS. All right. Everybody enjoy the rest of your day. Go M's. Hopefully we're talking tomorrow about a 3-1 series lead. And then tomorrow's show, of course, it's our Friday football tailgate show. We got you covered with all a bunch of guests coming up on tomorrow's Daily Puck Drop. We will talk to you then, as always. Promise to be better.
No shoes, no ties.
Would anybody like to smoke some pot?
Yeah. I was born to lick your face. I was born to rub you, but you were born to rub me first. What do you need my address for? We'd like to send out a mailer.
Mother of mercy, I don't speak Japanese!